this good?
I can hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but strangely, you're coming from over there. We're here to do this panel. First thing you want to know about actors is we're okay with uncomfortable, small amounts of personal space. So please come closer. It's easier.
You guys don't have to be shy.
Don't be scared. It's okay to be shy. Just be shy at a closer range. You're okay. I'm Leanna Kay, host of Ed and Red's Night Party, I Hate Hollywood, and This Movie Sucks. I've also done pin-up modeling, some short films, and some voice acting. So we're going to take it away, Marianne.
Hi, I'm Marianne Evans. I work as an actress. I played Michelle Payne and Max Payne, so yes, ladies, I was Mark Wahlberg's wife. I'm currently in this sci-fi series called Defiance. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Yeah? I play Gail in Defiance. Yay! And you can follow me on Twitter, and we want to hashtag We Want More Gail, because we need my part to be bigger. Also, and we'll turn over to you.
Thank you. My name is Bonnie Sue, and I do quite a lot of things. I've gone everywhere from starting and doing background work in movies and films, and I've led some parts in some movies coming up, such as Dr. Cabby as Bonnie, my own name, personal assistant, and as Rave Club Dancer 1 in Mortal Instruments. Sorry, wrong. I'm plugging the wrong movie. Manhattan Undying, and I'm featured quite a bit in Pacific Rim, so I'm a Los tech in that. So yeah. So if there's any questions about working in the industry, anything at all, like starting out, or if you're just interested in making little appearances, please let me know, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I guess the natural place to start is the audition process and how to get work. I admit, we're going to start with the audition process. I admit I'm terrible at auditions. More often than not, I end up making my own job because my background's theater, and the process for auditioning in theater is very regimented. You really know what it is going in. With TV and film, they don't really know what they want from a character a lot of the time, and they're waiting for that perfect person to walk through the door. So I guess, how do you prepare for auditions? How do you maximize your time in an audition?
Honestly, what I do, when you get a breakdown from an audition, you don't get that much information. For example, when my audition for Max Payne was, she's the love of Max's life. She's charming and pleasant. Okay? Thanks. No background, no thing. So you have to invent it yourself. You don't know what they're looking for, but the best thing to do is you create your own idea, and you just do it. You just go in, you trust yourself, you do the best you can do, you make yourself proud, and then 9 times out of 10, the director, the casting director's in there, and they'll say, that was great, now can you try it more this way? And it's also good when you're preparing for an audition, don't have a set way in your head how you're going to do it, because if you have a specific way you want to play it, when a director tries to direct you, you can't change it. And if you can't change it, they won't be able to see the different levels, and if you're able to go from happy to sad to whatever, distraught or whatever. So honestly, the best way to prepare as best you can, and just be proud of what you did, because you don't know what they're looking for.
So it's better to wing it slightly than over-prepare?
No, I think you should definitely over-prepare, but as actors, you should be able to be molded, right?
Right.
And be able to take direction, and when a director says, not too loud, or maybe dumb it down a little, you'll be able to do it.
Right.
I totally agree. I think that when you're actually working on set and everything, it's so important to, first of all, get the lines. So that's how you get prepared. Memorize your lines, but be prepared to not be rigid and be like, I'm playing a character or whatever. Just remember your lines. Go in there and realize you're working part of a team. The teamwork is so important. When you're auditioning, they need to know that they can work with you.
Yeah.
And also be prepared to realize that you might have to be doing this take 30 times in order to get the proper the shot, different angles and everything. So lines are very important, and also remembering just to stay friendly and be natural, be yourself, and yeah, just stay open.
Just check in with you. Yeah.
How do you find out about the auditions in the first place?
Yeah, that's a good question, because, I mean, the union is the way most people find out, but if you're not union...
Well, I have an agent, so my agent, they'll get a breakdown, and based on what the breakdown is looking for, he'll say, for example, right now, we'll say, in my case, my background's Greek, but I can play whatever different. So if they say any ethnicity, bingo. Ages 25 to 35, bingo. You know what I mean? So it's for my case, I have an agent. They get their breakdowns, they see who in their roster can play this role, and then they submit my headshots and my resume to the casting director. The casting director gets who knows how many, and then they whittle it down to however many number they want, and then I get the call. Sometimes I'll get 8 hours, 12 hours notice, and say, you have an audition tomorrow for this and this, here are your lines, go. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
The turnarounds are quick. Yeah.
I find for the auditioning process, there's a lot of different ways to get like a role per se. Like there's a convention with getting an agent and getting on things like a casting workbook. It's a website. It's a network of actors and also people who are casting people. So that's good to get on. Another way is, there's a few other ways actually, like what I learned from doing like background work is sometimes you can get upgraded. Like let's say you get continuity on a show doing background. Sometimes what happens is they're like, oh, this person's always in the background, so hey, can you say that line? And then so you say the line and they're like, that's fantastic. Well, we'll put you in as a real character, or we'll put you in as like a real role. So that's one of the ways that I got a lot of roles. Also, another thing for auditioning is sometimes don't be afraid to fit into the norm. Like I've been to auditions where they're like, we are looking for a blonde, white woman and this age to this, and I was like, you know what? My agent's like, I'm going to submit you anyways. You're not like they're not supposed to, but my agent's a little, she's exciting, right? So she submitted me, and I didn't get it. But another time they asked for a Mexican girl. I'm Chinese, but and I got it. I got the commercial. It was for Old El Paso, and I was a Mexican revolutionary. So don't let necessarily like certain labels or whatever. Like I'm sure there's limitations, but like don't be afraid to just go out there and try for the role, because if they really like you, they'll pick you.
Yeah, you never know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Does anybody have another question or anything?
All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was process when you're working, because I think something that people don't understand is how long the prep takes every day when you're on set with the hair, the makeup, and wardrobe. I mean, it can be 3-4 hours before you actually hit on set, and then if you're early, there's downtime. Mm-hmm. So how do you preserve your energy and your headspace when you're on set?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I just do it so many times. It's true. It's hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Your call time will be 6 a.m. You're not used till noon.
Yeah. That's
whatever. I'm still
pattern
getting
I've
paid. But I think there are so many times where you're just sitting there and you're exhausted. But the second when you're on set and you have to do your job, I don't know. You just snap into it. I don't have a step program of how to do it. I know with me it just happens. I don't know.
I think it's important to like enjoy the process. So like, let's say you're getting your hair or makeup done, just like really realize like you have some of the best hair and makeup people working on you at that time, and just like really enjoy that and breathe deeply, and like don't just like sometimes it's easy when you're going through hair and makeup all the time. You're like, oh, I just feel like an object. They're just poking me with things, and like I can't breathe, and like I'm so like tired. Why are they poking my eye? Like, but that stuff happens. Like you're on set and they're like just like poking at you, and it's kind of weird. Or they're spraying you with water. It's like it's raining. You're sweating, and you're like, ugh, right? But just realize like it's part of the role, and just really feel thankful to even be there, having some of the best artists working on you. And for anyone here who's not an actor, like if you're aspiring like makeup artist, hair, get out there and do it, because like a lot of these people started off just being interested in it and just trying different things and exploring, and it ends up being a team. Like it's not just actors that are on stage, it's like everyone's art is on stage or in front of the camera. So keep on being artistic and creating is the most important thing, and don't be afraid to think of new ideas and be creative that way. Because someone might see it and be like, hey, we're gonna hire you. You're gonna do you're gonna do all the styling or makeup for like a movie, and it's totally possible. So keep on showing your stuff.
Personally, I find it's easier to act, angry, sad, scared when you're in a good mood than it is to be all perky when you're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
So what's your bad day techniques? I mean, I know I imagine the cameraman in his underwear.
Is that what you do?
That's what I do. But everybody has their different techniques to sort of push it out when you're really not feeling it. Marianne, what do you do?
Honestly, I just put myself in the moment. I get everything I can from the script.
Yeah.
I wish I could talk about an episode I just shot at Defiance, but I can't because we're still shooting season 2. But there's like this moment where there was, oh crap, I can't talk about it. Damn you, studio.
Because I find that if it's not a sincere emotion, people see it. They see it in the eyes. You can be.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's what's so neat about the difference between theater, for example, and taking film is it's all in the eyes, because they can focus on you so close. I just found a way to just as hard as it is, because there's people around you and there's lights and there's you're shooting in front of a green screen, so really you're in a mine, but you're not. It's just a big wall painted green. You just have to really imagine. What I do is I put myself in the moment, and actually it helps when you're in wardrobe, when you're in makeup,
That's true.
when you're in costume, it helps.
That's very true.
You develop your character even more, and the situation, the circumstance even more when you're thrown into that moment. So for me, it's just when I see the director, when I see the cameras, and I know, okay, I have to do my job. It just puts me right in there. I just love it so much. That's what works for me.
I think it's really long hours. This is what people don't realize. Like sometimes you're just shooting like one scene, and it takes like a day, and sometimes it takes like a week for one scene.
Mundane scene.
It's just a scene. Like if you actually think about how much money goes into like 30 seconds, it's like pretty crazy. And
How much time?
How much time all the people working. So how do you stay in that acting mood? I guess in the positive mood, and like I guess. Part of it comes naturally, and then part of it you just have to stay positive and realize you're doing a job and be professional, and really train yourself to do that. It's not easy. Like some people think, oh, it's so easy. No, it's not. You have to really keep on practicing and working at it.
Well, yeah, just like an athlete trains, right? Because I know when I went to theater school, everyone was like, "Oh, it's a bird course." I said, "No, it's not."
No,
like,
it's not.
Well, you have to have natural talent. Absolutely. Just like a basketball player has a natural ability to play basketball. But when he's coached and he's trained and he does it more, he gets better and better and better. Same thing with acting. It's a technique, it's a skill that you have to hone and craft. So,
yeah. I think anybody can get a role bang on once. You see a lot of these, it people show up because of one role, and they never manage to achieve that level of greatness again. I think that's where the training comes in. There's natural talent,
right.
but then there's skill. The ability to do it consistently, I think, is where the techniques come in. What do you think was the most helpful bit of advice you got through training? Because I know me, it was stillness. Do more with less. That was the big thing I had to adapt from theater. Because theater, everything is, you see it on Sleepy Hollow a lot. Tom Meissen is ripping out that theater stance. Like he's got his hand behind him, and he's shooting the musket like this. And I'm like, I wish I could still do that stuff, because all that stuff goes away on TV. So me, it was less, still, slower, small. And that
talks about 3 circles. And the first circle is like when you're an actor and you're like kind of like hidden. You feel like you have like everything hidden. You're kind of scared to like show your emotion and just like be there. And then the third circle is when you're like, it's theater. It's like, blah, I'm so sad. Like it's so like big and out there. It's like, it's so big, right? And then so the second circle is just being, like you're just yourself. Like if you feel something, it shows. It's like a presence. It's like being present. So I think that's like that's the best advice. It's like, you know, when you're learning your lines, you're kind of in the first circle. You're like taking things in. And then so it's nice to be able to do that, to like absorb it. But the second circle is about actually like owning it or being there, present, like your emotions, your mind, your body. You are that. And I think that's difficult in like day to day just to be there because you're always thinking about like, oh, what do I have to do in the future, or what happened in the past and whatever. It's not. You just have to forget about absolutely everything and just be in the now, be in the present, and have that presence. And I think that's one of the best pieces of information I got.
Are there any aspiring actors here?
Are there any aspiring actors here? Or actresses, or...
So you're just here to look at the freaks.
You're smart.
You touched on something that I realized, and I'm having more and more trouble with in the age of the internet, is that I think people don't understand how vulnerable a place it is when you're standing there in front of the camera and trying to push out. People think acting is about lying. It's not. It's about finding a truth in a fictional situation. Good actors lie. Great actors find truth. And with the internet being able to instantaneously critique every performance you have, I'm finding it harder and harder to break that shell because I can't sort of detach. How do you guys build that trust with your co-stars and with your director? Like when you meet new people for the first time, you're strangers, then all of a sudden you're in very intimate scenarios because of the nature of the work. How do you get by that, hi stranger, let's get naked, so to speak?
Well, I've never had to do a scene like that yet, so thank God. I'm actually really nervous when I have one of the scenes. So in the show Defiance, my character, she's a lesbian. And originally in the first season, the last episode, the last scene was me having a threesome with 2 other girls.
Because that comes with the territory in lesbians on TV.
Absolutely. Well, they ended up not even they wrote that scene. They could. The thing is also when you're in a TV show, they're constantly rewriting the script as it goes. Next week I'm filming episode 10 of season 2, and I've already received 3 revisions. So they're constantly changing. Yeah, they're constantly changing the script. So I didn't have to encounter that because they actually got rid of that scene.
Yes,
so I never had to shoot it
before you shoot it.
But you have to just trust that you're with professionals. You're dealing with professionals, and you just have to trust that person that you're with, because you are interchanging very intimate emotions, and to be able to do a scene where you're freaking out because you're pissed off or you're crying, you're giving a piece of you that, and I can say like it takes. I'm not trying to toot our own horn or anything, but it takes a brave person not to be afraid to show their emotions, and that's why I say
I'm afraid, but I do it anyway.
That's why I think comedians I find make the best actors, like Robin Williams and Jim Carrey, because they're not afraid to make a fool of themselves.
Yeah,
it's all about
true.
The product, the outcome, rather than what does this person think. It doesn't matter what they think. It's all about the moment and the scene and the character. So, haven't had to do a sex scene yet.
I had to do we're talking about like sex scenes or whatever.
Just being comfortable, yeah.
We're talking about naked time.
I just did I've done a few like naked things for things, but the thing is, once you're part of ACTRA, which is like the union, they have rules, so they watch out for you, make sure everything's fine, and you're not actually doing they won't put you in a position where people are
you're doing a porn.
You're doing a porn, in other words. So, which is very good. I really recommend anyone who is an actor or an aspiring actor to try to be unionized for that reason. For one of those reasons. But yeah, recently I had to do one where I played this was not for a main role. It's just for kind of like some stills and like some part. But it was I had to play a dead person, and they were naked because they're like a dead corpse, right? So that was really, really awkward because it was.
Did you have to do the breathing thing?
No breathing thing.
Oh, you hold your breath for close-up, so your chest isn't rising and falling. Yeah.
No, it wasn't that. It was
okay.
okay.
Wasn't that close.
I just tried to fall asleep pretty much.
I find I start falling asleep and you're like, and then you start drifting. Yeah, because you're holding your breath until they say cut, and then you're like.
It's true though. It's really weird. But one thing you have to realize is when you're an actor, you're just being like a person, and people do all sorts of things. Like they go to the washroom. Sometimes they're naked. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes you're telling a story more so. So I think that's one of the things that you have to realize if you're an actor, that it's you're put up there so that people can judge you. And if people are judging you and they're like, I hate that person, why are they so mean, then you've probably done your job, because the character is supposed to be mean. Then you're supposed to be evoking those emotions in people. So you can't be afraid of what people judging you, thinking you're evil or whatever, because that's part of it. You're an artist, you're trying to get emotion out, you're getting people to not be scared to feel and even hate you. Sometimes, you want people to hate you in a certain role. Sometimes you want them to love you. Sometimes you want them to think you're cute. But as an actor, you have to not be afraid that maybe everyone will think all random things about you. And, I'd love to play like a psycho killer or something. That would be like,
Because it's the exact opposite to you.
Yeah.
Do you find it harder to play characters that are the polar opposite of you or closest to you? Yeah, I find that too. Yeah. You touched on green screen a while back, and I wanted to get back to that because that's a fairly new thing. And there are some people who are really good at it, and other fantastic actors who just can't take to the green screen.
Yeah.
So I know with me, you need to engage your imagination more. You're not drawing from the sets. You're not drawing from you still have the costumes, but you don't have the environments. You don't have the doors and the windows and all that real practical stuff. How did it change your technique working with the green screens?
Well, being on Defiance, because they do a lot of green screen work, they'll have, so for example, last season, we went underground in Old St. Louis, and we were tunneling our way to an abandoned nuclear power plant or something like that. So they had the bridge and the walkways and everything, but then everything around you was green. Luckily, they had a printout of the design of what it would look like.
That's how they do it. Okay.
Yeah, they did. They showed you this is what you're seeing, even though you're actually seeing green wall. This is what it's going to look like. So you just
have to hope they're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, like, we all played pretend when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like, we like stormed the castles when we were kids or whatever. I don't know. Do kids even do that anymore?
No, they have play sets.
It's fun because you just go back to playing pretend in a way, and they give you a visual so you can just imagine that's what it's around you. But they do give you some things, like what I'm working on. I'm not just throwing it in the room and saying go. So they have some some type of setup where you're working with something, but just your surrounding is not an underground mine. It's a green wall.
Yeah. I just find with green screen work, it's that little detail that I wish I'd known.
Right.
That if I'd known that was going to be in the background, I wouldn't have had my arm there.
Well,
sort of thing.
it's funny you said that, because when we first started shooting the scenes, we were doing it, and I was playing it all wrong, and then the director said, "Oh, guys, you didn't see what the scene looks like.
Right.
Here, let me show you." And he had this poster size. We're like, "Oh,
yeah, it makes a big difference."
So that's what I'm looking at. Oh, okay, thanks. So it does help, absolutely. Or at least if someone can tell you what the heck is going on, right? But yeah, It's green screen is the easier way to do it. It's the cheaper and the easier way to do it, right?
Well, you don't need this huge sets anymore.
You don't,
can do it in medium size, and the sound's better.
Yeah, the sound is way better.
Yeah.
But it's, hey man, it's my job.
Have you had to do any relooping because of the environments?
No.
Oh, so you get it all.
Yeah, so far we've been
science fiction series. Yeah.
No, we've been good. Like Science has been a big. I mean, I can't speak for other people's seasons, but since I've been in, no, we've wrapped and we're done.
How long is the production season on Unplugged?
This season started. Season 1 was from I think June until October, and this season we started shooting in I believe May, and it's going to the end of November. Well, it's been picked up now for sure. They you know, when a show gets a second season, there's more money. There's full order, right? So it's. I don't know if you guys watch the show, but it's going to be a little more violent. I can say that.
Do you have more money? Is that why you can do those effects? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. It's
amazing how much money affects scripts.
Yeah, and you can even see the difference. Like when you see the pilot episode in comparison to the second episode, you see the difference with makeup, hair, wardrobe. You see the production value. You really do. Because the money is pumped in.
Because they had no idea.
It's like a $50 million production. You know what I mean? Which is filmed in Toronto at Kennedy and St.
I
Clair.
didn't know that.
The town of Defiance is at Kennedy and St. Clair. Believe it or not. Yeah, it's freaky. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about Defiance?
Yeah.
Oh, isn't it true that it's also like a video game?
Yeah.
So it's. Can you tell us more about that? Because that's such a.
Okay, so this isn't the first time ever that they integrated a video game and a TV show at the same time. So what happens in the video game happens in the TV show. For example, the video game came out, I think, 3 weeks before the show started. So the characters were introduced in the video game, and then they came out of the video game and then entered the town of Defiance, entered the TV show. So actually, when we get our scripts, it shows what happens in the video game, what they do.
Cool.
So it says this is going to happen in the video game. So I think in the 3rd episode, one of the main characters left the TV show, and then he reappeared in the video game. So it's really neat how
so
they're
meta-storying it.
Yeah, they really are.
Okay.
So stuff that it's really fascinating how they figured out how to do that. And you were telling me another show's doing it.
Quantum Break.
Quantum Break is apparently going to do that, and it's amazing they didn't think of it before.
Well, they didn't have the technology to do it.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
But so that's how they did that.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
How have you guys found your choice of profession has impacted your social life? Because I know I have almost no friends left from before I started in entertainment because the pacing and the expectations of your time while you're working are something that people with 9-to-5 jobs just can't get their head around.
Did you want to go first, or? Well, with me, because I'm not working every day, so I have a lot of free time. I still work part-time too, don't get me wrong. But,
Canadian actor.
Yeah, so it hasn't affected me that much. No, not at all. If anything, it does suck, like if I have a wedding to go to.
Right.
Sorry, I can't, I'm on set.
Right,
Or whatever.
yeah.
In that sense, sure, but
it's like that.
But it hasn't really impacted me personally at all. I mean, it did. No, it didn't. I like it. It didn't.
I find for myself, I'm generally like a workaholic, so it's kind of good to not be working like 9 to 5. So my social life,
No, you can't.
I kind of feel like it's actually better for my social life because in certain ways it's not as good because like sometimes you're on set or you have to travel or something and you have to break plans. You're like, sorry, I'm going to be on set that day, or I'm going to be here that day, so you can't do that. But generally, like, if you get enough advance notice and everything, then it's usually okay. You have time to grow and explore.
If anything, auditions have impacted it more than an actual gig, because an audition,
it comes up
like that, where I've had to cancel many dates for vacations because I had an audition.
Vacations, yeah.
You know, whereas if I get a job, it's work, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah, well then you're blocked off from the city.
Exactly, yeah. So it's more the auditions that have impacted than I think the work itself.
Yeah. How have you found that working in the industry has impacted the way you consume media? Because I know it's totally changed the way I approach, watching TV or I watch it differently. Like, I'm aware that those are, green screen backgrounds and they're working with nothing. And I found my sense of amusement has actually increased because I'm more aware of what it took to do that. Like, oh wow, they're talking to something that's not there.
Do you find you're also more critical of the work?
I'm much more critical of the writing and the lighting. I mean, the pilot of Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. drove me crazy because the lighting was bad. And one character's face was completely obscured. And I feel for that actor because they did their job. The lighting director didn't turn on the fill light. And so half of what they were doing is just completely gone. And you can't... The people at home are noticing something's wrong, but they can't put their finger on what it is, so they just go, oh, that actor sucks. And most of the time when you see a bad performance, it's not the actor's fault. It's the director, it's the writing, it's inappropriate. You have to be pretty good even to get that job. And so I'm slower to criticize a show, and I'm much more likely to see the people on that show as people doing a job. And that's why the whole internet thing is like, you guys don't understand that what you think is the actor. It's really not. The actor is working half blind and half deaf most of the time in terms of what's going on in the story. They don't necessarily know what their character's going to do in 3 episodes. And that's really tough because when you're building a motivation, you sort of have this sort of past, present, what did my character... technique they teach you is, what did your character have for breakfast that morning? Sometimes you don't know, because that throws in, are they hungry? Are they a little bit sleepy because they had a whole bunch of pancakes and they're car crashing? It's just a place to settle you, but a lot of the times, especially on series television, you don't have the luxury of that kind of prep. But I know I watch a movie and I'm amazed at the little things. Like, it really changed. Before, I was really into, hard-hitting Oscar movies and film festival movies. Now I just want happy. I want happy endings. I want to see people, get together and fall in love and have all this great stuff happen, because it's so much work to get there that I like people being able to have their characters end up in a good place, because you get really attached, I don't know if you guys have similar experiences.
I know with me, what I notice is I think every character is different, and it bugs me when I see actors be the same.
But they get hired to do that.
Yeah, but they can still think of a different walk, a different gesture, a different tone of voice.
Oh, agreed.
You know what I mean?
Agreed. But then the directors just don't do that. I have that happen in voice work all the time.
Yeah.
I really put it in, and I do accents and personas and even stand differently. And then they go right back to I call it the Disney princess voice.
Right.
Just the very happy, enunciated voice that comes across really well in audio, but is absolutely indistinguishable from everybody else in the business.
It's true, you never know what they want.
Yeah.
You're like, really?
Yeah, they dilute it. They just shave the edges off your character.
But I like to say I'm really glad that I've never had the same role.
Yeah.
I've gone from, right now I play a bitchy lesbian, I was a charming wife, I was a quiet assistant, I was the sex symbol. So I'm happy that I haven't been typecasted yet. Unless now I'm just going to be a bitchy lesbian for the rest of my career. I don't know.
I think that's the benefit of being a supporting player as opposed to the star, because it's the people with those big breakout things that all people want them to do is that. No matter what, what Robert Pattinson and Daniel Radcliffe are struggling with, getting over the hump there, that everybody wants them to be, Edward Cullen and Harry Potter, respectively. Elijah Wood played that cannibal in Sin City after Lord of the Rings, just to get people stop thinking about me as Frodo. And I think you have that. It's a give and take. You have that freedom, because you're not on the.
Absolutely,
I guess one of the things that that affected me most after starting to work in the industry and then watching productions now is that I've grown a bigger appreciation and a little bit more critical. But I think when something is done really right, done really well, you can't help but just get captured by the storyline and fall in love with the characters, and that's inspiring. So I think
job in particular?
The most misunderstood thing that's all fun and games and it's easy. It's not. It's not all fun and games and it's not all easy. It is hard work. It's like sometimes I feel worse for the crew.
Yeah, because they're 2
The
hours
makeup people,
before.
like the actors, we do. I mean, yeah, we do stuff, but if it wasn't for the hair and makeup and crew, they're there before you get there and after you leave.
Sometimes for like 17 hours.
Yeah, I was when I was shooting Max Payne, they were on set for 23 hours. And they were more concerned about me being comfortable. I'm like, I'm fine. Show me where to sit. Show me where the crap truck is.
See, that's a good crew.
Yeah.
That's a good crew, because I've worked with some crews that are like, where are the talent here?
But like, no, but it's not all fun and games, and it's not
No.
easy.
And hitting marks is a lot harder than people think. When the frame's this close, and you're like, having this big breakdown of, oh my god, but you have to do it in a space this big. It's awkward. It doesn't feel natural. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, everyone's working really, really hard, and they make it look easy. But it's,
Well, that's your job. That's your job.
yeah, but it's the crew, like the crew is insane. Like, honestly, some of these people are working 6 days a week for months on end, and they're working like right around the clock. Some of them live in trailers next to the studio, or they're traveling from location to location if they're not in studio, and it's pretty crazy. Like, so I have a lot of respect for the crew, and as I guess an actor myself, I kind of think that one of the most misunderstood was we are not our characters. Like, if I'm playing like a hooker, it doesn't mean I'm a hooker in real life.
What?
What? Really? Oh my gosh!
Oh, welcome to my world.
But it means that we can see the humanity in that character and bring it to you. And I hope that as an actress, that actually shows through that there's all different types of people in this world, and not to be judgmental of a character, but realize that people are in different situations, and to be able to put yourself in that situation and show the humanity in that, and maybe have people relate to that and understand, and just kind of make the world a less lonely place, and be creative, and not let things like how you look or how you act really affect the soul of the person. So I think that's one thing as an actress, like, that we are actually putting our souls into it, and so that you will love or hate the character or the plot, but we're putting our souls into it.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
There a role you just would not consider playing?
Ooh, I don't know.
I
don't know.
See, I'm struggling with something right now, actually. I have a script for a voice job. And maybe you guys can help me out with this. We're getting a bit of process right now, guys. I got a script, and it's to narrate this Las Vegas, bright lights, big city. And then it's constant buffet jokes. And I get this script, it's like, I'm the only female narrator in this. It's written by a guy. And I'm like, yeah, give the actress the food jokes. Because it's like, big food, bright lights, big food, big shows, big food. I'm really hungry. Does anybody have something to eat? And I'm sitting here going, a guy saying this and me saying this are completely different. And I don't know what to do, whether to throw the joke and go, oh, sure, or change it completely. Because it's one of these things where I'm playing a character, but they're saying it as me. Like, that's the thing, the Leanna Kate persona isn't me. It's a character, but it's become such a successful character that people want that character in it. So
So you're afraid of information?
it's more that I don't want.
You're not separated.
Well, I'm not a size 4, and that's my deal. But I don't want I think any girl feeling that, especially like teenagers or anything like that, the fixation on food and the whole thing. I'm like, and I asked them, if it would be one thing if it was completely a character, because then, well, you're the character, you read the lines, I'm not the writer. But because they're using me as me, it's trickier, and so I'm kind of struggling with that. Yeah, well, I kind of feel like I have they haven't had access to the, you know, the show Bible points that don't make it onto the show that the writers know when they're writing. So it's a tricky thing, and I think that it's more like I have places I won't go in individual roles because I don't think that it's benefiting it, but I don't think there's any job I wouldn't take for certain things. You know?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's tough.
I think, like, in terms of working in the commercial world, there are certain things that I probably will not take. Like, let's say I'm selling a product that I know is like, I know for a fact, I'm like, oh, maybe this medication or something, like, I know it's going to cause, like, you know, dementia or suicides or, like, birth defects. Or I'm not going to sell it. Like, I won't do it. Like, I'll be straight up. Like, there's some things that I'm like, okay, that's good. Like, I think it's great that people can have choice and, you know, try different products. But there are some products, if I knew for a fact that they're trying to sell poison or something, I would not do it. There's no way.
You hit that point where you can't make your rent 1 month.
All of a sudden.
I think I would, in terms of a character in a TV and a TV show or film, I would love the opportunity to see how far I can go with any character.
Yeah.
Whether it's a psycho killer or a homely housewife, or I want to see how much, what my, what my level is, what my range is. So I don't think I would turn down anything, because it's not me.
What about commercial
Right?
getting a bunch of similar roles? We just start picking and choosing because you want to.
If I get to that level where scripts are being thrown at me, absolutely. I'll pick and choose. But I would love the opportunity to see if I can do it. More importantly, I'm challenging myself.
That's a tricky thing. You want to push yourself, but you don't want to step so far out of what you know you're good at that you let the production down.
As an actor, how do you feel when you're getting a script and you feel it compromises not just your personal character, but the characters? How do you handle that? Because, I mean, it's a job. It's just your job.
It depends on what your title on the show is. I mean, I'm very big on defining my role right from the beginning, because sometimes I'll come in as a writer, producer, host. Other times it'll just be acting, and that's why I always say, am I allowed to ad-lib? Do you want me or do you want a character? Like, that is all stuff you have to have when you're negotiating the job, when you're deciding whether you want to take the part. Everybody has to be clear.
But as Mary Anthony was saying, you know, the scripts get rewritten.
Yes.
So what you were hired for is now changed. They feel the character's grown, the writer has an idea of how they want you to play it, and at that point it now compromises either your personal values, like you were saying, there's certain things you won't do, or your characters, and you're thinking, there's no way my character would do this, because now you're in a position where it's my job, I don't want to offend anyone, but at the same token, it's not natural now for me to play this. My character would never do that.
Well, nothing about it is natural to you. I mean, the whole reason you get into acting is to play other people.
Right.
So violating your own personal boundaries, I mean, let's face it, there's tons of rape and murder and incest and all that stuff. You're going to cross boundaries. The overall message of the story and the character's point of view aren't the same thing. The question about whether this violates your character, I think that's trickier because, yeah, you have to have a certain amount of continuity, and I have had times where I've gotten lines and I've said, to me, I'm very conscious of the stuff I play. It can't sound like a man's words coming out of a woman's mouth.
Right.
That's the one thing I'm really, really super picky about, because that is sort of, I've carved out my niche, and it took a ton of work to do that, and it takes so much effort to get there. It takes very little for people to start thinking you're a sellout. But that's because I'm playing a version of myself as far as people are concerned. If it's an acting job, it's different, and I think it really depends on who you're working with. Sometimes it is a very collaborative process. Other times the director has a vision, the writers have a vision, and you sort of just have to trust that they know what they're doing. So I don't know how you guys feel about that.
When I go for a part, yeah, I'm giving them a part of me, but it's not me.
Yeah.
So I have to think, yeah, me, Mary Anthony, I probably wouldn't, or maybe I would stab the guy, I don't know. I probably wouldn't, but this character would. And why is she doing it?
Yeah, that's what you have to, instead of fighting it, you sort of have
You have to find out
understand
why.
That's
There's a goal. Everybody has a goal in life. You know, like your goal is whatever. You know, your goal may be a month from now I'm gonna buy a house. I don't know. Everybody has a goal in life, and every character has a goal. Whether you personally agree with that goal or not doesn't matter. How many times do you think back and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. What was I thinking? At that moment, that was your goal. That made sense to you. So you have to find that for your character.
I guess if it's for a fictional, or if it's for like a script or a TV or a movie or anything like that, I'll play any character, like the weirder, the crazier, the more immoral, or misunderstood, the better. So I think I take pride in getting to understand that character and why they would do those things, and just it really opens my heart up, because it makes you, like they say, you don't know someone until you walk a mile in their shoes. Well, this is a chance to walk in their shoes.
Now for you,
But commercial, I'm a little bit more cautious. Yeah.
well, for you being a visible minority, other than all of you being women, but do you ever get yourself in a position where you feel, okay, you know what, this is such a
If it's derogatory.
yeah, derogatory, stereotypical, and because you're trying to break molds, obviously, even as women in industry,
Yes,
right?
I find a lot of weird stereotyping because, I'm Asian and visible minorities, but so it was more so like many years ago. Many years ago, I was auditioning, and the only roles that they would audition me for was like gangster, Asian hooker girl next to the hot tub, or like martial artist. And I was just like, I was so sick of it. I was like, oh my gosh, why is it always martial art or like Asian hooker, right? And I was like, oh, why can't I get like better roles? Like, can't I just be like a person? Like, can I just be like, a character with a name, right?
when you're physically different, you get you
you
get put right in the
there's a
head.
lot
Right
of-
on the head meets fire in the bed rolls. I mean, that's what I get offered.
But now it's a little different. Like now they're more, I think they're more careful about doing things like that. It still happens, of course, but I find a lot of the non-union productions will do that more.
Well, I'm thinking in particular, like in Hangover with that Asian man, how they made him the joke, almost the butt of the jokes,
Yeah.
right? And the stereotypical, small penis, accent, as a visible minority, it's hard, I would assume. Like you're
It's
trying
like
to
bullshit.
fight this, right?
It's like you're saying that sometimes feeding into the stereotype might add to bullying, like racial bullying, right? I think if I'm playing a role, like let's say it's a comedy role or whatever, sometimes it allows people to explore that. So I think that's okay. Whereas if it's like it really depends on the situation. If it's a show known to bash everyone, then it's kind of different because everyone knows that they're supposed to. They're just like they're criticizing stereotypes. They're almost like
Making a joke of
they're making a joke out of a joke out of a joke, just to alleviate the joke, pretty much, like nullify it. So yeah, I think that's great. But I think like there is still a lot of like typecasting and like stereotyping, or like racial stereotyping, but that's kind of part of the job. They're like, we want Asian this, we want whatever that, but it's part of telling the story, which I understand. And I think that if a lot of the stories are written by people that are a certain way, then it's gonna reflect that in their art, right? Because they're telling their own story. So I think if there is any, bullying, or if it's too much of a man's point of view, or if it's too much of this, it's probably because someone who wrote it, that's their point of view. And I'm not going to judge that and say it's right or wrong. It's just their view. It's art, right? And I think I encourage more people. I hope that more people from different diversity, like different walks of life, actually make movies here and try to get budgeting, work really hard, and tell their story. Because the more different types of stories are heard, then we don't only just hear like a smaller side. Are there any questions out there? Any other questions?
We got one time.
Okay.
And cut.
We love you. Thanks.